Hello and welcome to the Power Lunch Live podcast. I'm your host, Michael Whitehouse. If I were a responsible host, I would have spent the past 5 minutes getting ready and preparing my guests and telling them what they'd be doing. But where would the fun be in that? So instead, I'm going to tell them and you. That way, you, the audience, will know what's going on, and the guests will know what's going on, as well as we ever know what's going on. So the Power Lunch Live podcast, Sylvain, I know, has been on here before, so he knows how it works. But I bring together one or two or three or four and sometimes five guests from various different backgrounds. We have some really interesting conversations because it's so cross interdisciplinary. I said interdimensional, interdisciplinary. I think at least one of our conversations was interdimensional, but this one could be too. Who knows? And so what we're going to do is we're going to start by doing a quick around the room, people introducing themselves of who they are and what they're all about. And then throughout the course of the 50 minutes, each one of our guests will have the chance to lead off a topic. And I always ask for a topic in the forum. And sometimes people give me, I'm going to talk about this specific topic. And sometimes say, I could talk about any of these things. And that's what we have today. So they're going to lead off a topic. I don't know what the topic is. Hopefully they'll figure it out by the time they're speaking. And then we'll all talk about it in kind of a round table, like hanging out at a power lunch kind of situation. For those who are new to the show, think about it like you're hanging out at lunch. So you don't need to raise your hand. Don't worry about stepping on people. I'd rather have two people talking at once than dead air. So just have a nice free-flowing conversation. And then at the end, you'll have the chance to share a final thought. If your final thought is a way to book a call with you, download your book, come to your summit, whatever that is totally cool. Speaking of summits, I run a bunch of summits. The next one is coming up on May 23rd and 24th. It's the Abundant Minded Entrepreneurs Summit, where we have 20 speakers. Yeah, 20 speakers over 2 days. Whole lot of great networking, whole lot of great stuff going on. And check that out. There's 4 other summits at that guywhoknowsaguy.com/summits link as well. So that's what I'm promoting here. And with that, I think I've seen people logging in. So the trick with live events is that people don't get the notifications for about a minute. Then it takes them a minute to actually get in. So I riff for a minute or two while people find us. And then once they're here, we kick it over to the guests. So each one of you take a minute or so to tell us who you are, what you do, what makes you awesome, and maybe what we're going to talk about. And we will start with Melissa.
Thank you very much, Michael. I'm honored to be here. And as the link earlier said, I'm an integrative health practitioner focusing on the mind-body realm as well. And so what do? I help people get to the root cause of their health issues so they truly understand what's going on. And once we know what's going on, then we also know the protocols in order to guide the body back into a place of balance, at which point it will heal itself, because that's what the body's designed to do. And we are looking for those imbalances and deficiencies through the power of functional medicine labs that get mailed to people's homes, as well as understanding their toxic load. We release the toxic load, we support the deficiencies, and the body will take over and heal itself. And why is this important? Because your health is your greatest asset. And so today, I would love to be talking about empowered health.
All right. Also, next up, we have Sylvain Hache. Did I say it right?
Oh, that was nice, Michael. Sylvain Hache. Just go with Sly. It's the easiest way to say it. Sylvain in English would be like Sylvester. It's just hard to say. And you can't see it, but on Hache, there's a weird character that your keyboard can't even type. So
Accent aigu, right?
Accent aigu, here we go. And as we all know, Michael is and one of the best lines I heard about the difference between French and English is Michael said, the French word for now has 3 syllables. So that's how you know that copywriting in French always feels like a massage, where copywriting in English feels like a kick in the nuts or a kick in the chest. The French language is beautiful for elaborate poetry, but when you want to get people to do things like sign up, click, download, vote, swipe, get it, right? Buy. English is way, way, way better. I could be speaking about a bunch of subjects, mainly marketing, mindset, and music are my 3 main fundamentals. And right now I've been specializing in the fine art of removing butts out of people's future. So they want to go out there and speak more, but now there's a but. So they want to start a podcast, but. So they want to get on stage, but. So I remove these buts by giving people what I call rock star levels of confidence. Removing buts. There you go. And Michael, just for everyone listening, if you can remove buts out of people's lives fast enough, you'll have clients coming out of your butt. So I focus on giving people rock star levels of confidence anywhere from a Zoom call to Carnegie Hall when it comes to public speaking, whether on camera or on stage. So that's pretty much it.
Nice. All right. Next up, Michael. Is it Hession?
It's Hession, like session with an H in front.
Michael Hession. He is actually a late ad. I was talking to him yesterday. We had 3 people booked for the call, and I was like, Michael, you want to jump in? Because you got some cool things to share. And you're here in New England. I believe you may be the geographically closest person I've ever had on the show. Depending on where Nicole Magic lives, it might be closer. But you're definitely one of the closest ones being there in Rhode Island. So tell us a little about yourself.
Yeah, thanks. Good to be here. So again, Michael Hession. I'm just outside of Providence, Rhode Island. I'm an authorized practitioner of something called the Infinite Banking Concepts. And what I do is families and entrepreneurs that think outside the box when it comes to money hire me to help take control of their financial futures, because they know that the big banks and Wall Street and the government don't necessarily have their best interests in mind. So I help them grow their money and their wealth, stock market free, no risk, with guarantees, and to be able to experience the magic that is compounding interest, growth of money, and turning debt into wealth and all kinds of cool stuff like that. So bottom line, I help people achieve peace of mind when it comes to their money, because having done this for myself and my family for about 8 years now, when you really implement these things, there's a real peace of mind around it, which is wonderful. So that's what I do.
Awesome. So first, I love the infinite banking concept, and I look forward to doing it when I'm at the place to do that. And second, I'm going to clip this out and send it to Jane M. Powers, because that may be the best intramural presentation I've ever heard. It was just so smooth in the explanation of how you did it. So
The one I just did?
yes.
Oh, I did it I got it from Strategic Alliance Live.
Yeah. It was so natural the way you did it. I mean, I know the format, but anyone else listening would be like, "Oh, he's just talking." Like, that's cool. So
As far as the topic goes, I didn't get the form that I was supposed to fill out, just so you know. At least I didn't see it. But I like all those instruments behind Sly. I'm a musician too, so let's go with music.
oh right, yeah. Well, it's interesting how with this show we often end up with a theme. With a theme of some kind. Katie, we'll get to your introduction in a second too. But we often get to a theme of some kind. Like last week, it was 3 people who were all from the West Coast, who all knew each other, worked in the joint venture space. They were in the same community. Completely by chance, they all landed on the same show. So completely by chance, none of the 4 of you have given me a topic for various reasons. So it's going to be, an interesting free-flowing show. I think it's really going to be a lot of it. It's always fun. I've yet to have one that I'm like, oh my God, when will this show be over? Because I could just end it. If you're ever on the power lunch with me and at like 2:30 I say, well, looks like we're out of time, then the show went poorly. But I don't think that's going to be happening today. So Kathryn Kevorkian, tell us about yourself.
Oh, wow. This is the first live podcast that I've done. I'm a licensed massage therapist in the state of Massachusetts. And I really love working with people virtually and in person in finding out the root cause of why they are in physical pain. Because just like if we work on things that if a child were to try to get your attention and pull on your shirt, you're going to feel it on your shoulder, right? So that's how I work with my clients. I find out, okay, where's the pain? And then what could be pulling? And that we let that go, and then the kid's happy. It's let's go of the shirt. So yeah, that's it.
All right.
That's my very quick 30-second intro.
I like it. And so to give you an idea of how good Kathryn is at this conceptually, she has helped me with, I can't remember if it was leg or hip or whatever. She helped me with something over the phone. You don't normally think of massage therapy as something you can do over the phone. And yet she did. I described something. She said, oh, try doing this, stand in this position, stretch this way. And I'm like, okay, yeah. Oh, wow, that's better. So yeah, the only massage therapist I've ever known who was able to fix something over the phone. So she knows her stuff. So if you're within 1,000 miles of Massachusetts, then I recommend her. All right. So Melissa, we're going to have you lead off on the topic that we're about to find out about. So basically you're going to introduce the topic for a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever. And then we're going to come back to the group screen. We're going to talk about it for a while until the spirit moves me to bring us to the next person. I'll go to the next topic. And that's how we flow until we run out of time. And then we end. So Melissa, teach us something.
Sounds great. Well, thank you. And I love all the intros because there's a lot of connection here. I mentioned root cause and Kathryn mentioned root cause. Sly mentioned mindset, which is a lot of work that I need to do as well. And Michael, you're talking about lowering people's stress and, having them feel better in their lives because they don't have those financial worries. And did you know that 95% of doctors' visits are triggered by stress? So empowered health, that's something that I teach. I teach it through my podcast, which is Don't Wait for Your Wake Up Call. And it's a message that I feel very passionately about sharing with the world because we have more control and power over our health outcomes than we previously believed. And this is the new science of epigenetics. And what that science says is that our health outcomes are dictated by our genes, but that factor is only in 5 to 10% of the cases. The rest of that equation is that 90 to 95% of our health outcomes are actually triggered by what we're putting into our body, our lifestyle choices. Which means in 90 to 95% of the cases, you have control over your health outcomes. And if you're like me, who wants to live like my grandmother did until the age of 101, living to the end, fully cognitively functioning by herself, capable of looking after herself and then dying in her sleep, you want to be making the best choices that you can for your health. But how do you learn that? Where do you go? What does that look like? And that's where my work comes in supporting people. The reality is unfortunately in today's world, despite the pandemic, we have near epidemic levels of chronic illness and people getting diagnosed every day and being told by doctors, you have this illness, here's a pill that you have to take, and you're going to have this for the rest of your life. And that's what they've been taught. But the truth is when we come over to the holistic side of healthcare, we look for the root cause. We have different lab tests available to us. Like I said, they're mailed to your home. So my entire business is 100% virtual so that we can find those imbalances, look for that root cause. What is causing that chronic illness that you have that's in your body today so that we can support those deficiencies that are triggering it, remove the toxins, remove the inflammation, boost the nutrition that your body needs. Perhaps your gut isn't functioning properly and your body's not breaking down the food as well as it should be. So we have a whole lot of people in North America that are actually malnourished because of gut health issues, which we can be resolving. What are gut health issues caused by? Well, there's many, many causes, but some of the biggest ones are overuse of antibiotics, or really any use of antibiotics, high stress, poor sleep, birth control, inflammatory foods like dairy, gluten, processed sugars, etc. And so all of these things that if we're not aware of, we're putting them in our body because they're available and we're just simply all trying to do the best we can in any given moment. And we just haven't had the education around it. And 7 years ago when I was in the corporate world, I didn't know any of this either. But then my life took a change. I went back to school and started learning this and getting all of these ahas of why didn't I know this about my body? How come nobody ever told me that? Etc., etc., etc. And so now I make it my mission to pay it forward, share that with the world, and help my clients truly get their life back. So I don't know if anybody wants to jump in and share their thoughts or have questions, etc.
Well, as you're talking about, I was thinking about 12 years ago when I first learned about sugar, which, now like the idea of sugar is a dangerous thing in quantity is, of course, second nature. But 15 years ago, I had no idea because it was all about, watch out for fat, sugar. I naively thought sugar, it's like salt. You can drink enough water, the salt will flush out. You do enough exercise, the sugar will burn off, right? No, apparently not. Wish someone told me that before I drank 60 ounces of soda a day for 5 years. But just these things that people just don't know because no one's telling them. We learn things like the American food pyramid. Apparently 6 to 8 ounces of grain or 6 to 8 servings of grains a day, primarily wheat, might not be the ideal health solution unless you're the wheat industry. So
yes.
And now it's coming out, how much the food industry was involved in the food pyramid and the food squares and all the nutritional guidance in the 80s. And you're like, wow, no wonder we don't know anything.
Yes. And when we go back to the 80s and we talk about low fat and we talk about sugar, etc., that decision when governments were looking at the health of nations and noticing the rise in obesity, the rise in diabetes, type 2 diabetes, in particular, the rise in heart disease, and wanting to do something about it, their decisions were made very much on false logic. So the idea was that, well, if we don't want to be fat, we shouldn't eat fat. And so from that came the low fat, no fat food industry, right? And interestingly, that only happened in the English speaking world. Because we're the only country or language where the fat on our body is also the fat in our food. In all the other languages, they have different words for these types of fat. And so it became a problem initially in the English-speaking world, and then it did spread as other countries think that North America knows best and, take on our practices. And then we watch their health decline as well. It's shocking how quickly that happens. But when the food industry started taking the fat out of the food, it didn't taste good, right? The fat adds flavor. And so then nobody wanted to buy it. And that's when people now still to this day believe, well, healthy food tastes like cardboard from that narrow window where the food didn't taste good. So the food industry starts putting sugar in to sweeten it up and make it taste good. And then also realized how addictive sugar is for people. So let's keep putting sugar in because then they keep buying it. And then that just feeds our bottom line, right? And so look at our health today compared to the 1980s. Well, in that 40 years, our type 2 diabetes has continued to increase at incremental rates, as has our level of obesity, as has our heart disease issues. It completely backfired. Our body needs fat. Our brain is made up of predominantly water and fat, but we need good quality fat, not GMO fats and, poor quality fats. And when we get our good quality fats, and we're also ensuring that our omega-3, our essential fatty acids, and our omega-6s are in balance, we're balancing the inflammation in our body, which we want to do. Because when we're getting too many of the wrong kind of fats, we're increasing inflammation in the body, and that can trigger our cells to turn on those diseases that we have genetic predisposition to. But when we keep our inflammation levels in check, those cells never have to turn on the disease.
Interesting. Yeah, and I always thought when people called me a fathead, it was an insult, but now I realize it's scientifically accurate.
It's absolutely scientifically accurate.
Michael, about your, drinking sodas and how a company like Coca-Cola was viewed as this humongous success story when really they were just poisoning the hell out of everybody with sugar. This
is seltzer, by the way, in case you're wondering.
Okay.
Oh,
well, you know what I mean? Like
green soda. I have a green screen with a green can.
Yeah, well, Coca-Cola in the beginning, in the original recipe, they actually had cocaine in that thing.
Yes, they
Now
did.
that'll wake you up. You don't need coffee if you're taking cocaine in the morning. I mean, that could kickstart your day, right?
And it's natural.
They move from one highly addictive substance to another, because there's been research that's been done in lab rats, and the lab rats were given cocaine water to drink, and then that was taken away, and then they were given sugar water to drink, and then that was taken away, and then they were given both so they could have a choice. Guess which one they went for? The sugar water. So this is not an advertisement for cocaine. It's just showing you how addictive sugar is to the human body. And the food industry absolutely knows that. And they play on that. And there's 50 different names for sugars as well, and all sorts of GMO sugars, because people started reading labels, right? And then they didn't want people reading labels. So they just start coming up with all these different names that people don't realize what it is. And so they buy it. And interestingly, in Canada, by the end of 2022, there's new labeling requirements for sugar, where all the different sugars in a product have to be listed as one item: sugar, open bracket, maple syrup, sucralose, all the types, close bracket, and that's all counted as one. And on food labels, you start with the ingredient that has the most in the product, right? So by the time we now have to add together the 6 different types of sugar in one product, guess where sugar is going to end up? And so people are going to be aware of it again.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy that Canada is doing that.
Yeah, and it's interesting how easy it is to get, at least the things you can control. I used to drink coffee with sugar and cream. And then when I realized sugar was an issue, I was like, what if I drink coffee without sugar and just cream? And at first it was like, this is a little harsh. But within a week or two, I can't drink coffee with sugar in it anymore. It tastes really awful to me now.
Yeah, so you resensitized.
Exactly.
You resensitized your sweet taste buds. And we do have sweet taste buds. And so we have to satiate them and honor them, but we also have to resensitize them. And so it is a matter of mindset there, that you can choose to, over the course of a week, resensitize your sweet taste buds and, make these baby step habit changes that are better for your health. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
What would be great sources of fats, like avocados, and like what else?
Avocados, nuts, if you're okay to have nuts. I know a lot of people will have allergies to or intolerances to nuts. And then also it's just looking at the oils that you're using in terms of coconut oil in your cooking, your baking, olive oil, avocado oils, macadamia nut oils. So those are the best sources. And, you can just steam up some vegetables and drizzle olive oil over the top just for a little bit of flavor and to get your
I forget
oil.
the name of the doctor, some diet I did a few years ago, and he had a saying. I believe Michael will like that one. Well, maybe both Michaels, but he had a saying that was, the purpose of food is to put olive oil in your mouth. That was a saying. Forget the name of the guy. I think it was like the anti-lectin guy.
Oh, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Plant Paradox.
Yeah.
This guy. I forget his name, but the Plant Paradox guy. That was a great line.
That is a great line.
A line that I
is a great
absolutely love, it's not written anywhere, but I heard it, is Melissa said, my grandma or your grandma or your mother died in her sleep at 101 years old. Now, dying in your sleep, healthy, sane, with still some sort of that youthful vigor is the one best thing I could wish upon every living thing, not even humans, every living thing. And then, if there's one thing I would also wish for everyone, is to die with peace of mind. So there's a classical composer named Jean-Sébastien Bach. It was said that Jean-Sébastien Bach was better at music than anyone has been great at anything ever. He's that good. And he said when he was about to die, don't worry for me. I'm going where the music comes from. So dying in peace is also something that I would wish for every living thing in the world. So we have Michael here that gives people peace of mind through investing and stuff. We have Kathryn who gives people peace of mind when they realize that the pain that they have somewhere might be coming from somewhere else that's pulling on that thing where you get peace in your body. And ultimately, everybody wants to be rich, happy, and healthy. So if you're rich, happy, and healthy, which means you can die in peace in your sleep, now you're talking.
I love that. And I just want to give you the reality of where most people are at today. And in North America, the average person spends 10 years slowly dying in a nursing home. That isn't quality of life, right? That's what happens when you get that chronic illness diagnosis and then you're put on a medication to mask the symptoms and get told you have to take that every day for the rest of your life, as opposed to showing you how you can actually make some lifestyle changes and regain your health, because that's what the body can do. You just need to know how. Mm-hmm. And that's really sad. That's 10 years of your life. And it's not only your life, but it's the emotional drain on your family as well, as they watch you slowly slip away over time. How much more powerful is it to instead recognize that health is your true wealth or your greatest asset, and treat it like that so that you can have all of your years? It's not, there's a saying that's, it's not about the number of years of your life, but it's about the quality and the life in your years, right? And so absolutely going the way my grandmother went and with peace of mind is absolutely what I want. And too many of us just think, well, I have my health, I'm fine, so I don't have to think about it. But every day people are getting diagnoses of chronic illnesses, but they didn't go to bed the night before fully healthy, right? And then wake up not healthy. That illness has been building in their body for months, years even. You can have Alzheimer's for 20 to 30 years before it's ever diagnosed. But if over that time you were instead prioritizing your health, understanding nutrition matters, understanding exercise matters, sleep matters, et cetera, and detoxing matters, then you're setting yourself up for success. And that's what I teach, because we can all do it. And it's incredibly powerful. And I've been doing this for the last 7 years, practicing what I've learned and practicing what I preach. And honestly, I feel better than I did 20 years ago. I'm 54 now and loving life, and truly feel better than I did when I was in my 30s, because I've implemented these habit changes that aren't
Same
hard.
here. I'm 43 and I feel better than in my 20s.
That's awesome.
I just read an article. Kathryn, I didn't know you were a magician as well as a massage therapist. She just disappeared and then reappeared. It was like, boom. That was great. I read an article that says, I think it was specifically for men though, but if one goes to a sauna 3 times a week and sweats his ass off in that thing, you're 27% less likely to die from a heart situation, heart condition. If you go 4 times a week, 50% less chance of dying from any complication of that. Then I corroborated that with another research study that I had found that calibrated the difference in actual danger from some sort of sickness versus the perception, like what you think is dangerous and what actually is. So there was like COVID, cancer, hard things, planes, thunder, right? And cancer and heart situations were 10 out of 10 actually dangerous. And the rest was, everything was just lower. So to just go into the sauna is the easiest thing one can do. I don't want to work out. I don't want to eat healthier. I don't want to watch my thoughts. I don't want to do yoga. What are you talking about? I don't want to do any of that. Just go to the sauna can have a big impact. And in that study, they cross-reference, like, are you happy in life, like in your couple? Do you have a stressful job? So they taken all these factors into consideration. So I threw that in there. So that was a few weeks ago. So now I threw in sauna in the mix, because at the gym I have a sauna there. It's a glorious thing. Can you imagine that? You go to the gym, you have a sauna and a pool all in one place.
It's awesome. I actually have an infrared sauna in my home. It's a blanket, and I love to get in that, because the sauna process is, again, allowing the body to detox. which we live in a toxic world these days, and we have to support our body in getting those toxins out so that our liver isn't getting overburdened. I mean, it is in many cases already overburdened for so many people, but the sauna is one step of detoxing. But another study that I work with, and coming back to the oils and balancing our omega-3s and our omega-6s, is that when we have those optimally balanced, we're lowering our risk of sudden death by cardiac disease by 90%, 90. And all we have to do is understand where our omega-3s and omega-6s are at now, which we can run a lab test, super easy, and then bring your body into balance based on what your labs show.
Yeah.
It's so easy to do.
What kind of lab tests can one run? Like, because I know people like athletes don't run the regular lab tests that you run when you go to the doctor for a regular test. For like, there's like, I think of it as ABC. We can do this for financials as well with Michael or with Kathryn for pain. I do that for messaging and marketing and automations and funnels and building wealth and stuff. So there's A, B, and C. So let's take health or mindset. A is like Olympic level, like stud, like the racing horses, right? And then B is like regular population, and C is you're in the hospital. So it's not because you're in B minus that it's not because you're not in the hospital that you're not sick. So there's B plus, right? And there's A levels. So where can one go to get these type of blood tests where they actually measure for, not just the basics?
So that's what I do in my work as an integrative health practitioner, as do many other integrative health practitioners. And there's actually integrativehealthpractitioner.org that you can go to and look for people. Naturopathic doctors will run them as well. Basically, you're looking for functional medicine lab tests. The difference with mine is they get mailed to your home, so you don't have to be physically close to me. I work with the entire English-speaking world. And then you do the labs at home. And it's not a blood draw. You prick your finger and you drop drops of blood onto a card into a circle, or you might need a hair clipping, or it might be a urine sample, it might be a saliva sample. But everything can be done at home, mailed to the labs, and then we get the results. And they do go much deeper than your regular labs that you get from your PCP. It's just another level of health that, as the user, you choose, you pay for. That you pay now or you pay later, those 10 years in the nursing home. That ain't cheap, right?
Oh, that's horrible.
And you get your 10 years back.
And my wife just did that with a naturopath locally. She had something going on, and I think she pricked her finger or something and sent it in. And it's really made a big difference. They were able to identify what was going on with her and changed her diet, how to do a bit of a fast in theirs. And it's really, so yeah, it's available out there, just to get really fine-tuned what's going on.
Yeah, it's literally personalized health, right? Because they would have looked at those labs and then told her that exact information, and then she's getting the results. And that's what I love. I can work with people, just working with people in a detox in 3 weeks, they have profound benefits and results. But when we run the labs and see what else is going on, that's huge. I just worked with a client who's had chronic fatigue syndrome for 40 years. When we ran the labs and we saw the degree of metal toxicity that she had in her body, as well as where her cortisol levels were at, and we start basically put her on a protocol to remedy that. In 2 weeks, she wrote to me and said, "Oh my God, you've given me 40 years of my life back. I can actually get through a 9 to 10 hour workday without needing a nap, without being a basket case, without being exhausted.
I don't need cocaine anymore in the morning to get
Every
started."
Or Pepsi or Coke or whatever, right?
Every day she continues to get stronger. And that's what I love. I love being able to help clients in that way, because no one likes going around feeling like crap all the time. And no one wants to be told this is what you have for life. There's always another choice, another option. And so get those second opinions.
I know someone sitting in a wheelchair that the doctors told him, "Man, this guy's the angriest guy I know." Doctors told him, "We don't know what you have. It might be something you drank, might be something you inhaled, could be in your genes, or something in your environment. Just go home and die. Go home and wait to die." He's been sitting in a wheelchair for 15 years now, 12 years. Absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
Good God.
I had a lady on my podcast last month, and she's writing a book. It's coming out this summer called From Wheels to Heels. So she was in a horrific car accident, was told afterwards that she would never talk again without a stutter and that she would never walk again. And this is where mindset comes in, because she refused to believe that diagnosis. And she said, I'm going to show you wrong.
It's exactly what he said. He says, I'm going to come here and dance in your face.
And we did this podcast together, no stutter. She's not only walking, she's in her heels. She's rocking it. Does she still have some pain from that accident? Yes. But she did show them wrong because she worked damn hard to get there. But how many diagnoses do people get? And then that's all they think about. And so they bring it on.
I just want to give a
You
tip.
can talk to that, Sly, because you talk about mindset too.
No, but never mind mindset. We'll go for stutter. If anyone here wants to hire highly creative people, hire stutterers. I used to stutter like a chronic stutter. I couldn't even speak. Now, the most creative people you will find in life are part-time stutterers. Good Lord. Okay. Now, let's take your friend, okay? Say she stutters some of the time because she went through the process. And when you are a stutterer, in your mind, you know that some syllables will jam on you. Some consonant, like B's or P's, will jam on you. So a stutterer is in his mind thinking, okay, if I can't say the B, I'll say. So if you want to say for someone, can you please pass me the salt? There's can, there's you please, that can jam on you. Pass me can jam, and then salt can jam on you. So a stutterer always has 4 to 5 different ways of saying the same thing in his mind going on at once. So if you want to, now, do not hire a stutterer to answer the phone for your business. That's just cruel. Don't do that. That's not good for you, not good for the stutterer, not good for your business. But copywriting, thinking of plans, brainstorming, problem solving. At any given time, I sit down to think about a problem. I don't know. I can't swear to God if it's because of the so many years of stuttering and think about different ways. But when I sit down to think of a problem, I always minimum 3 different ways of solving that thing. So rather than just having one. So these people are highly, highly creative. And once someone gets over that hurdle, it's so deep that it naturally translates to other areas of a person's life. So when you feel stuck in another area, they get it. Now, here's the thing. I teach public speaking now, and I used to stutter. So, for example, let's take a scale. Let's take let's say here like rock star levels of presence and, charisma and getting on stage. And then you have executive levels of presence. And then executive of the year. Then you have employee of the month. You're proud and you get on stage and you have something to prove and you're proud of yourself. And then you have regular shy people who are just terrified of speaking in public. And below that, you have what I used to be, like a stutterer. Okay? So since I started from there, and now my clients include people with TV shows. Like one of my clients has his own friggin' TV show. So since I went from worse off than most people are, in the mindset, in the stuckness, in the feeling, in the not being able to express, in the not being able to show up, I went from worse where they are, and I now coach people that are ahead of where they want to be. I have the range and the subconscious steps and conscious steps to get there. So when someone comes to me and says, well, I have to do a pitch next weekend, there's going to be like 30 people, and I'm really, really nervous about that. You see, I'm not impressed by that person's problem. Since I was worse off and I'm coaching ahead of where they are. So you can't be impressed by the person you're trying to help's problem. If someone comes to see Kathryn and she's afraid of the pain that person is in, she can't help that person. You need to have a bigger range than so same thing if someone comes for health. So, but here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with the voice box of a stutterer. Like, I have a scar here. Someone tried to slit my throat once. I have a scar here. I don't know if you can see it. So that's a physical thing. Someone slit a knife. I just moved it just last minute. And I forgave him, Michael, because when you forgive someone, you let go of the emotional angst and the emotional pain holding you back, because we want to die in peace, baby. So we let that person go. Anyway, so that was a physical thing. But with a stutterer, there's nothing wrong with the physical voice box. There's nothing wrong with the thoracic cage that's all caved in like this, so your posture is like that. This is an internal issue. This is an internal stuff. So what we need to do is we need to go from the inside. So I teach it like this usually. So, like you take someone that's caved in and shy and all twisted and bent from the inside, and then people try to hide that with power posing, because they read an article on LinkedIn that says they need to power pose and puff their chest up and breathe deep. Now, you ain't fooling no one, because everybody sees right through the cracks over here. It's an inside job. You need to go from the inside and undent that thing, so you don't need to hide anymore, and you can show up as your full self and get your full resonance and get out into the world and do what you're supposed to be doing. So the internal tools that you develop with someone like your friend there, from wheel to heels, that internal fortitude, there's 3 levels of stories people have to master to get anything done. I teach specifically, if you want to make a webinar, say you're making a webinar for your business, Melissa, and you want to teach people, then at the end of the webinar, you need them to book a call to book your services. You need to speak in a certain way where you get them to book the damn call. And they need to become pre-framed in a certain way where they see you as the authority, they trust you, they believe you, right? There's a certain structure to that. So since she went from that heel, I forget the train of thought I was going with, but since she 3 levels of story. So she needed to master her internal story. That's what it is. All mindset is mastering the story your friend is telling her about her own situation.
100%.
And then when she gets out there to promote her book, when she has to speak about her book on stage, that's level 2 story. That's the story she's telling with her face, with her hands, with her slides, with her demonstrations, right? That's this level 2 story. And then level 3 story is the most important story of all if you want to get people to do something. Kathryn, this is great for you, because if you can't master that, no one's going to book a call for a massage session at a distance. You might have to change the name massage sessions at a distance there, but it's level 3 story is the story that the people are telling themselves in their mind about your level 2 story. Mm-hmm. But now here's the thing. It's a downstream thing. So where confidence comes in, I always put confidence at the beginning, because most public speaking training think about confidence as the result of you knowing what to say and how to say it. So Michael's got a tight introduction, right? He's got his intro, he's smooth. Yeah, let's maybe do this and do that. And eventually we just give people peace of mind, right? Sounds great, sexy, it's beautiful, it's tight, it's fresh, and it's natural. Okay? So that's what people hear. So, but the way that the stories go is that whatever you tell yourself about your own situations, about your own products and services and things, that is what impacts the most the way you say your level 2 story, like Michael said his introduction, for example. Not the other way around. It's not because Michael knows what to say that he's confident. Because here's the thing, if you're not confident when you're putting your message together, you will dilute the power of your message. You'll remove the cocaine from your Coca-Cola. You need to leave that cocaine in there. So confidence is the internal cocaine in the original formula of the Coca-Cola.
Right.
That's in there. Because if you do it, so you start with confidence first, you go with the inner tools. Once you're confident, then you get to open your mouth. Because then whatever you say has more... Look at that. I love Michael. I love Michael for another reason as well. He said, when the spirit moves me. See? We're in a place where spirit is in control, and Michael feels moved, compelled to put lower thirds like cocaine is the original confidence, or vice versa. So, confidence is the original cocaine. You start with the confidence, then you build your messaging, which in that way will impact the most important story of all in terms of getting people to do what you want them to do, which is book a call, sign up, swipe, vote, click, donate, think different if it's a TED Talk. Level 2 story is what they are thinking in their minds about whatever you're saying. So I love it.
I totally agree with what you've said there. but I just want to counter one piece in there and see what you think of it. And that is that I also believe we have to start before we are ready, because in getting started and just taking that step, we start building the confidence. And so my podcast coach said to me that if you look back, when you get to 50 episodes and you're not embarrassed by your first 5, then you waited too long to get started. And Michael knows exactly who I'm talking about that said that, right? And I believe there's some truth to that too, because otherwise some people will never get started if they're waiting to be fully confident to get started.
This is true when someone is doing it by themselves. I'm speaking when someone walks into my world, when you walk through my system. So someone comes to me, shy, caved in, self-conscious. I'm not sure if I can, I have to speak in front of 300 people. I have to present. I started a new business. I'm the face of the brand, right? I'm a new entrepreneur. Or I need to step up to a next level where a lot of people, they've been in business a while now. They realize they're getting eaten alive by all these kids on the internet. They go, hey, wait a minute. I haven't worked my ass off the past 25 years to be eaten alive by that little prick. I need to get me online. I need to get me some making videos, right? So from there, I take it from there, confidence is one, because I have I used to be I wanted to be a monk. I have since 2005-ish, or what are we now, 2022, 17 years of deep inner tools experience to remove inner blocks from people. So once you start with my system, I get you confident first, because usually it's like, okay, start now, you will become good, and eventually, which is called public humiliation, go get laughed at enough, and you'll feel the pressure to get really, really good, and then you'll be good enough, and then you'll feel good enough, then you'll be confident. I flip it around. That's what you do when you do it by yourself. If you want to avoid public humiliation, that's why I have this system. It's called Level Up, right? So, but you're absolutely right. If someone does it by themselves, you just start, you get punched in the face, and that's the biggest motivation in life. It hurts. So you just get punched in the face, you get laughed at, you're ashamed, you're afraid, and then you build the internal muscle of no matter what, and then you find your own groove, and then you do it. You can always do it alone. There's no problem there.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is that with starting before you're ready, is you're like, oh, I can't go on the stage because they're gonna laugh at me, and I'm gonna forget what my train of thought is. And then you go on stage, and they don't laugh at you, and you forget your train of thought, and nobody even notices, and you make a joke, and you hear 100 people laugh at it, and you're like, wait a minute, I didn't die even once. No one had to call 911. I didn't fall down on the ground. There was no, I didn't have chest pains. My head didn't spin. That wasn't that bad. So that's part of starting it. And of course, the other thing is you get that like, whoa, my old an old boss called it polishing the stapler. Oh, I can't start yet. I need the right CRM. Oh, I can't start. I need to get a new computer. My old computer is not good enough for my new business. I need a new computer. And I can't put a new computer on an old desk. That's like putting new wine in old wineskins. So, I got to buy a new desk. Well, then I got to build the desk. My office is such a mess. I got to clean my office up before I put the desk in with the new computer on it. And you got to get everything perfect and everything aligned. But when you start, you discover that first off, you are ready. And second, that thing you're going to spend a year building is the wrong thing. My course has to be perfect before I can launch my course. Nobody wants your course. You don't know that because you haven't tried to launch your course yet. So when you get out there and you start doing it, like you get more information in 4 weeks of action than 40 weeks of planning.
100%.
Polishing the stapler. That's a great one.
Yep. Yep. So we are coming towards the end of the hour, and I do want to give Michael a moment to share the infinite banking concept a little more in detail, because I suspect there's someone out there, or even someone here, that does infinite banking work in Canada, or is it just the U.S.?
There are practitioners there too. It's not as tax advantaged, but you can do it.
But the concept still exists. But yeah, so I want to share that because I've met a number of people. I think that's as counting. I think you're the 7th infinite banker, which is impressive because I guess there's only 200 of you in the world. And I've managed to meet
about 200 authorized who came through the Nash Institute in the U.S. Not sure how many in Canada, though.
And I've met like 4% already, so I'm working
Wow.
with your whole
Get there.
community. But every time I
Clearly a
hear about it,
message to you, Michael, that this is something that you're being directed towards.
oh, yeah, no, I see. You need some investable capital, not a lot, but more than I've had, but not as much as I will have.
That's right.
But yeah, it's a great concept, and for people who need it, it's definitely something I always like to give platform to. So Michael, if you can explain in about 3 or 4 minutes this completely revolutionary financial concept, good luck.
Sure. I'll do so, and I'll just kind of pick a topic and kind of tie into something that Sly just said a little while ago, and that is just things of value over time in human history that have been forgotten. You think of like medieval or Europe, just pestilence and plague, and just no one was washing themselves, and there were these Roman aqueducts, that right in their villages, and they had like running water and stuff like that, and it just got forgotten about. And humans do that; they move on to the next thing, and things of value get forgotten about. I have an ebook, and I have a little story about Johann Sebastian Bach, who's my favorite composer. I'm a classical guitar player.
Nice.
And when he died in 1750, there was about an 80-year period where he was forgotten about. Now, of course, it was only transcripts or people playing the music, but he was largely forgotten about. And it was Felix Mendelssohn, about 80 years later, who rediscovered him, was like, we should check this guy out. He's pretty good. And he reintroduced it, and he's the most popular composer ever now. But he was completely forgotten about. It's kind of the same thing with infinite banking and the types of whole life insurance policies that we use. They were very much in use in the first half of last century. There are these great stories of Walt Disney, and actually Walt Disney, the cash values inside his policies, he was able to tap into to start Disney World. The banks wouldn't lend him any money, but he realized he had all this money sitting in his whole life policies that he could get without any questions asked, and he was able to start Disney World. I think the one in LA was the first one. J.C. Penney was able to fund his payroll during the Depression because he had money in those contracts. They're not affected by the stock market at all. So there's precedent. These things didn't go away. They've changed a bit over time. And it's just what happens is the financial industry moved towards stock related stuff, stock market, 401ks. And really what they're doing is moving things away from like pensions where there were guarantees to things where the people had to put their money at risk and hope for the best, really. So, and then they could charge fees and just, make fees and look, I put you in a diversified portfolio. If, I don't have any control if we go into a bear market, but I'm still collecting my fees. So they've been around for a long time. And Nelson Nash, who created infinite banking concept, said, look, we just need to let people know that these contracts, it's like a hybrid of a savings account and a line of credit with guaranteed growth within it. It all grows tax-free because it's after-tax dollars that you put into them, generally speaking. And I have 8 of them between my wife and I and my 2 daughters. So it becomes this system of private life insurance contracts that I can tap into for whatever I need. The 2 cars I have, I bought, but I didn't pay cash for it because when you pay cash for it, the money goes away, you never see it again. So that's another thing about infinite banking is you tap into the cash value of these policies to get whatever you need, and you can cycle the money back in so you don't lose control of that dollar. And I use it for my clients to pay off debt, but it's not just paying debt off. It's paying off debt, but also bringing the money back to you and acting like a bank. And banks make their bulk of their money by having money, lending it out, and having it come back at interest. Lend it out, it'll come back. It's just a way to do that for yourself and your family. And it's just a beautiful thing. And I like the word peace of mind because that's what it is. I don't care what the market does. It's not affected by it because these are guaranteed contracts that have nothing to do with the stock market. So, and there's a whole intergenerational component to it as well. Like my daughters right now, they're in their 20s. They're part of our system, but eventually I'll hand it over to them once they take the time to understand it so they don't mess it up. And then they'll have these savings lines of credit vehicles that they'll own. And also, there's a death benefit too, which is we don't focus on that because the need for financing through one's life is more important than leaving money behind to your loved ones, really, because you have to fund things all throughout your life. So it's just a really beautiful thing, and more people need to know about it. And it's just the professional. When I first started, they really urge you to get your series licenses, and so you can handle, stock market related stuff, because that's where the money is. So a lot of those people, they mean well, they just don't know this, and they think of life insurance strictly as protection, but they don't understand. If you run it like a bank for yourself, it's just a beautiful thing. So,
wow. and so as I understand, you can take your money, you can put it in here, and then use it for something, and it's continues to collect interest. But what's the minimum amount you need to get that going? Is it $100 a month, $500, $1,000, $10,000 a month?
We think of annual premium.
Okay.
The reason is really what this is about. For any of my clients, what we're showing them how to do, and there's a lot of tutelage, a lot of teaching, is you're creating your own financing business. Really, so you have to capitalize it with something at first. If you pay monthly, it just takes a long time for that cash value to accrue. So we always think, so I'll do an analysis, and if I can find, someone's got $10,000 sitting in a savings account earning 0.02%, that's a prime candidate. Let's put that to work and start your policy. So you don't have to start annually, but to your question, Michael, it's for an adult, usually 10,000 per year is sort of on the lower end. You can go lower than that. So you think of, $1,000 a month, give or take, something like that. But if you can get started with a larger amount, that way a portion of that money goes into the cash value and grows and starts earning that compounding interest. So you want to get that started. And for children, because I have a lot of clients who have children, and due to policies of them, $2,000 to $5,000 a year is certainly, so that's kind of a guideline. And then up above from there, yeah.
Yeah, so I get an idea of what level someone needs to be at before they should be reaching out to you to
I think I mentioned this with you the other day when we spoke. You can do these what are called convertible term policies, term being for a specified period of time, and using the same companies that we use. And it just locks in your health. It's very inexpensive because it's term. But if you see that you're going to be making more money, in the next year or two, then you can go in and convert them over to a whole life infinite banking policy without having to go through underwriting again. So it locks in your health. So I do that a lot with, investors. Like I have a lot of crypto investors who are holding out for the next big move. So they get these term policies, and once they get the big move and cash out of the crypto market, they can fund these things. And it's really easy to do. They don't have to, go, they could get really sick in between, but it doesn't matter. They can convert it over to a whole life policy anytime in that 10-year period.
Sorry, Michael, what will one need to type? I just Googled Infinite Banking Canada, what would one need to Google to find like an official source in Canada for this?
The best way is reach out to me, honestly, because I have an arrangement with some practitioners in Canada. And the best way to do it is to have me sort of have a conversation, because this is a different way of looking at money. It just, read my ebook and do a little prep work first, and then I can send them to the folks in Canada, because it just seems like that's the best arrangement, and to do it that way.
And I can find your ebook on your site.
Yes.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's not an ebook officially. It's still in the process, but I have several articles in there, and you can book a call. Now, where are you located, Sly?
Montreal, Canada.
Montreal, yeah. So yeah, I think that's a good way to do it. I did try sending one or two people directly, and we want to make sure it's efficient and it makes sense for me to. And then once I send them over to these folks, I would be a part of the process to take you through it. But these guys are really well qualified. Now, if people are in Canada and own businesses and can get incorporated in the U.S., you're better off because the taxes are better.
I saw that. I bought a coaching program from someone. I know she's in Montreal, but the thing at the sign said whatever LLC. So LLC, that's USA for sure, because we don't have that here.
Yeah. So if you can, if that's applicable, it's better, but it's still good. It's just, the taxes in general aren't as favorable in Canada as they are in the U.S. So.
Very good. I'll learn about international finance and health and how to live to be 101. And you got the best example of an infomercial I've ever heard. There's been a lot of great stuff here in this episode.
Oh, can I say something real quick? Yes. Real quick. So Sly, I didn't practice that at all. because you were saying before how it just comes out naturally.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I have it over here, and I look at it, and I was like, but because that's what I'm doing. I came up because that's what I do, and that's what people have told me that I do. I provide for them, So I just thought I'd throw that in.
Absolutely glorious.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. Well, we're going to take, so it's now 3:04 here in the East and whatever time it is where Melissa is. But it's 4 after the hour. That's the important thing. We are 64 minutes into the hour, which I think is past the end of the hour. So we're going to take about a minute each to go around, do final comments, thoughts, invitations, offers, whatever you want to do, and then part ways. So we'll start with Melissa. Give us your final words.
Thank you very much. And I just want to, again, remind people that health is your greatest asset and it doesn't have to be difficult. You can work with a practitioner that can show you the way, hold your hand, make it easy so you can live that full, vital life that you want to live. And to reach out to me, my website's yourguidetohealthjourney.com. As you can see at the bottom, I do have a free workshop coming up on May 19th. Are your hormones driving you crazy? You can find that on my website. Just go to programs and you'll see the workshop and you can register there. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to be here.
All right. Thank you. And Michael, final thoughts.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. I know we just set this up yesterday. Just find out about it. It's a beautiful thing, and don't let if you run across financial people who go, oh, that doesn't work, or they just don't understand it. They only know what they're taught. Mm-hmm. So go to my website. I have several articles in there, and we can set up a call. It's just everybody should know that this is an option for them when it comes to growing in their wealth. So yeah, feel free to reach out, and I'm happy to help in any way.
I ride the phrase that I only say to financial people over Zoom calls because they can't smack me, which is, but Dave Ramsey said.
Look, I know people who have used
and then he ducks.
To really help.
I saw you ducking.
He's missing part of the equation. It's not.
Yeah.
So
someone told me apparently he has like 4 infinite banking policies himself. So, but. Yeah, I've heard with Dave Ramsey, it's because he's teaching like lowest common denominator, Joe Sixpack. If you try to explain to him like use whole life for this, but not for this, but they'll get confused. So he's like, it's got to be, you can explain on the cocktail napkin. All right, and Sly, final thoughts.
Thank you, Michael. The cocktail napkin version of my stuff is simple. If you want public speaking confidence, go to my website, nextlevelpublicspeaking.com, and download a 17-step checklist that if you can check the first one on that list, you're 80% of the way there in 1 second. And since I know that the main thing that prevents people from clicking or checking that first one is the good old imposter syndrome, I'll also throw in for free 3 imposter syndrome crushers you can use to get that confidence to get you out there on stage.
Very good. I think I should get your checklist. I'm not sure I need that, the get on stage checklist, but I'm curious to take a look at it. And Kathryn, final words.
Yeah, my final words are if you are currently having a massage therapist or chiropractor and they've worked on you and it doesn't seem to be working, if Michael puts my contact info down there, I can totally...
You didn't give me a website. What's your website?
What?
What's your website?
Oh, I only have my Calendly and my Facebook page. I don't have a website.
Okay, or comment
I
below.
do have a website, but it's just basically American Massage Therapy Association .com.
Comment below. I'll put you in touch with Kathryn. So if you need that help, I know Kathryn quite well. I've known her for many years. So
go to Michael. He'll yeah. Anyway. I can tell you what your therapist might want to look at a little bit more into, and then they can take care of you. But I could just let you know, have a look at this thing. Yeah.
Very good.
Thank you for having me on, Michael. It's been great being around all of you. And like someone previously said, just like start. And even if you're not ready, like if your lighting is only covering half your face, just record yourself and do fun stuff.
It's fine. Work with what you got. It works fine. Yeah. And so thank you everyone for being here. This is always a good time. I said this show, I've doubled the staff because it used to just be produced by Serendipity. And then I hired Random Happenstance as well. So we now have 2 producers, Serendipity and Random Happenstance, and they do a great job bringing awesome guests together. And I've been doing this since, I think, mid-January. So this is like the 12th or 14th show, and every single one of them has been awesome, bringing great people on. So the link is down there at the bottom. So if you are on the screen and want to come back, then we use the theme park model. After you get off the roller coaster or the ride, you can get back in line at the end and book to get on again. And if you are in the audience and you're like, I think I have something to contribute to this show, then you should also go to guywhoknowsaguy.com/powerlunch, and you can apply and get on the Power Lunch yourself. My next summit coming up is the Abundance Minded Entrepreneur Summit, May 23rd to 24th on the internet, guywhoknowsaguy.com/AME. That's the initials of Abundance Minded Entrepreneur. It is free to attend and participate in everything. There's a nice little VIP package that's got a bunch of gifts from the speakers and the recordings, but you can get the whole event. You can be part of everything for $0. So definitely make sure you're a part of that. And thank you to all of our speakers. And Sly, is your hand up?
My hand is up, Michael, because of your acronym, AME. Could you put that thing back online there?
Yes,
now,
I could, Susie. Where did I put it?
Now, do you have any idea what that means in French? AME.
I do. Where did I put that?
Oh,
I seem to have lost my banner somehow. I'll put it back in a second. It's coming.
That thing in French means soul.
Wow.
Like the soul.
Soul.
L'âme, like the actual, the soul. That's what it means. So in French, that's guyknowsaguy.com/soul.
And it's my flagship summit. I do other things, the Entrepreneur Summit and whatnot, but that's like the flagship one.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Lam.
Yeah,
lame. Yeah, lame means something different in English. It is not lame, it's lam.
Lam, yeah.
Lam. All right. I love it. Yes. Yeah, so this event has meaning in 2 languages.
Yeah.
And hopefully no more surprises. It's always a fun thing with multiple languages. So thank you for doing a little translation there. That was pretty cool. And
I can do a 3rd language for you.
Oh.
Ame, if you pronounce it Ame in Japanese, means rain.
Okay. So
There
the
you go.
Soul Rain Abundance Minded Entrepreneur Summit.
And it could be raining abundance, right?
It could be. All right. So rain, soul, abundance, whatever word you like, just be there on the 23rd and the 24th. So thank you all for being on. This has been so much fun.
See you guys. Thank you.